Thank you for the warm welcome. CEO, Specialist Krishnan, Permanent Secretary of Finance, Shri Gounder. I can see my friend Dr. Nathaniel Rika from the University of the South Pacific. This is a very important subject for me. Some years back, I was involved in a research project, and we used a lot of the data from Fiji, and we were looking at barriers to mobile services, mobile money services used by women in the country. And so if you get into Google and type Biman Prasad, you will find at least 2 or 3 articles on the importance of women using mobile money services and how that was going to empower them. And in fact, the results showed that those who were having access to those services were actually financially literate, more literate than those who did not have them. So I'm very pleased to be here, and I want to thank the Consumer Council, CEO, Ms. Seema Shandil, for the invitation and for organizing this workshop. Of course, the subject of financial literacy, financial inclusion, consumer protection, these are very much interrelated. They determine the success of each thread and how consumers are made to understand the importance of financial literacy, financial management, investment, financial risks, elements in today's rapidly changing environment. I also know that a lot of the international organizations have tried to build those skills of financial inclusion, financial literacy, and ensure that financial services and products are available to a broader population. But despite all that work, I feel that there is a lack of coordination, lack of a fully integrated, perhaps national, regional agenda to ensure that there is a sustainable process of financial literacy or education process which promotes financial literacy and the understanding of the values and benefits of financial inclusion for good quality of life, good business, and good management of finances generally. Financial literacy, whether it's about personal savings, basic investment decision, or understanding of personal business, debt, is very important in any country where generally, as Seema pointed out, that throughout the Pacific, those good financial management skills are not available. And these are not just not available at the household level, but also cascades to other levels, to different institutions, businesses. As is often said, most things start at home. And financial literacy has to start for individuals at home and with families. Children have to be taught about savings, better financial management from an early age. because that's the kind of culture that you build. Parental engagement in this issue is very important, as instilling these ideas at a very, very early age can have a lifelong impact on how those who grow up eventually find themselves in a particular fit in the financial world and in life generally. I know opening a bank account can be quite an excitement. I didn't have a bank account until I came to the university. Maybe Shri didn't have one until he came to the university. But opening a bank account was a bit of an excitement because it did say to me that, okay, I'm going to have something for myself. So, and here I think the banks can play an important role. To some extent, some of the processes and the way in which the laws are there, particularly financial reporting law, and we've discussed this with the banking industry. We are going to, as a government, relook at those laws so that we ensure that banks are not an obstacle, or the process itself is not an obstacle for people to open bank accounts. In fact, in some sense, it's almost a nightmare for some people to actually open a bank account. So it's very important that our banks also play an important role, use some resources from within the banking system to ensure that financial literacy, financial inclusion is undertaken in a systematic and in a sustainable manner. But behind all this, I think, is education. And if you're talking about these things starting at home, you also need to talk about our education system. And our education curriculum has to be strengthened. And maybe, organizations like the Consumer Council and others who are involved in this, in the promotion of financial literacy, advocacy of financial literacy and financial inclusion, to actually work with the Ministry of Education. I know the government, the Ministry of Education is going to hold an education summit. I'm sure the Minister for Education will be announcing that soon. But education curriculum is an important area for us to look at. My own assessment of what has happened over the years, a lot of haphazard reforms have been undertaken. And basically, some of these important things, such as financial literacy, financial inclusion, some basic training for students in junior secondary schools or high schools is no longer there. And in fact, the whole curriculum in this area has been weakened. I know there's been a lot of work done, a lot of innovations, M-Pesa by Vodafone, and I know others would be looking at different innovations, different processes to engage our consumers in a much better financial literacy space. But we need to, and perhaps the Consumer Council of Fiji, with the help of the relevant ministry, perhaps needs to better coordinate these different activities. A lot of good work is being done in different areas. And I heard you mention silos, which is probably true. So sharing those knowledge, sharing those practices can have a lot of impact, at least from the point of view of coordinating these activities. From the government's point of view, this is a new government, new coalition government. We have a philosophy behind this government, and that philosophy is leadership with humility, leadership that believes in consultation and dialogue, leadership that believes in working with different community organizations, because we believe that when governments try and do everything, when governments try and dictate everything from the comfort of their power, we do not promote innovation, knowledge, freedom to do things. And that is one of the important principles behind this government. And we would like to empower organizations, many of you are represented here, working in this area of financial literacy and financial inclusion, so that you come with solutions. You become the advocates. You find new ideas and solutions. And government's job would be to facilitate that, provide a conducive environment, and ensure that people are working together through dialogue, through consultation, and with a sense of unity and purpose, because only in that way we can create a sustainable process, a sustainable pathway to improving these skills. So I'm very pleased that all of you are here. I think there is a lot of wisdom and knowledge that resides not only in the institutions that you represent, in your own self, as people who have got the skills, and all that put together can obviously create something very, very interesting for our people. So once again, CEO, Ms. Seema Shandil, I want to thank you very much for the invitation. And I want to thank all of you for participating in this workshop. And I wish you all a very fruitful, is it a 2-day or 1 day? 1-day discussion. And I look forward to receiving or looking at the outcomes or the plans that you might come up with as a result of your very good consultation and dialogue. So thank you. Naka Vakalebu, Dhanyawad, Shukriya, and thank you once again.